All right. Forget wherever I was when I was speaking, but anyway, I guess we can get into it. Um, I just hit the record button, so we should be good, I believe, unless we have some glitches like usual. But anyway, Euro USD. All right, we are still making higher highs and higher lows. It's a fact. We're still making higher highs and higher lows. All right, so we did have some initial dollar strength coming in from NFP, but we are still maintaining structure. Structure is still intact to the upside. Right now, where it would be nice, it really would be to get a higher time frame pullback on Euro USD because we've just been ridiculously bullish. Right, it would be nice to get that retracement so we can get in at a better discount on a higher time frame. But obviously, we don't necessarily just need to wait for that. If there's opportunities that line up shorter term, then we'll obviously look to just continue to trade with the momentum, right? We are still bullish. It's just a fact. Okay, so right now, we did dip into 1.2 this week or this prior week that we've been calling out for quite some time. So we did reach that objective, right? But we still haven't broken any structure. So we're going to be continuing to look for buying opportunities until we actually get that higher time frame pullback. All right. So we do have some relatively clean lows here on EU, kind of across the board, and you'll see it on Euro JPY as well. That I believe could possibly be run out. All right, we do have a 1-hour candle here that swept some liquidity a few weeks ago. That could be a point of interest, all right, for potential continuations. But right now you can see we're in this kind of upwards channel here, right? So until we actually break down in market structure, create some type of significant low, and start creating those lower highs and lower lows, I'm not going to be looking to sell. I'm really not. There's no point in doing that, right? So for now, there's not necessarily a buying setup here on EU, right? Obviously, everything's just subject to change, and we could easily see some type of setup coming in early this week. But I would rather see kind of these lows taken out first before looking for a potential sell to buy and continuation, right? So again, nothing now on EU, right? We'll just continue to wait for our type of setup at the right time of day and look to trade with momentum. AUD USD. Now this one's looking pretty decent. Right, I will note first off higher time frame, like I like to do with you guys, kind of a higher time frame objective. Right, is this 7.5 kind of 5.0 level 7.550? I do expect that to be our higher time frame objective here, as you can see in balance sponsor candle as we mitigated a prior sponsor candle here. All right, so I expect 7.550 eventually. Doesn't mean it's going to happen now, but that can give us more conviction in looking for longing opportunities because we have a higher time frame target. Okay, so with AU, it's kind of looking similar to NU really, and kind of GU, but obviously coming into Friday, we had a big sell to buy, breaking to short-term counter trend structure, right? So I do expect, I'm just looking for a simple pullback. I'm looking for a simple pullback into our kind of inefficiency here. And I'm looking for continuation to the upside. Okay, we have some clean equal highs as well, and this is not a top in this market. All right, so kind of a simple setup. There's nothing really to kind of go over. We do have some clean equal lows down here, some relatively clean lows down here as well. Okay, just something to think about. But obviously, we are ridiculously bullish, and we won't take these lows out until we go bearish. We can also pull a kind of higher time frame fib, and you can see we've come into some nice discounted prices, 61.71. Okay, so this is looking pretty good. Again, we don't trade Sundays, right? So if we get this kind of at market open, I'm not going to be looking to take it. I just never trade Sundays, and tomorrow is a bank holiday in the U.S. as well, so we'll probably see some low volume. All right, but I do kind of like this area for continuation. It's kind of an inverse head and shoulders, right? I don't really get into patterns or retail patterns, but that's what it's shaping up to be, in my opinion. Okay, kind of same deal with. I guess I'll go to AJ really quick since they're correlated. Same deal here with AJ, right? You can see all of these little lower highs here. They're too clean, right? Just liquidity, 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 liquidity everywhere across this counter trend, right? So I'm looking for now continuations to the upside, correlating with Aussie dollar. As you can see, the same type kind of price action here, run out the low, break a counter trend structure. All right, so I'm looking at 77.1 for potential continuations. And I'll just note our higher time frame target, 79.50, equal highs swept, buy to sell, right? Never mitigated, 79.50. That is our higher time frame target. All right, you can see we've come into prior market structure, kind of a break and retest situation. So I am looking for a continuation now to the upside, 77.1 to 7,700, looking for that buying opportunity to take all of this liquidity, continue up towards our higher time frame objective. NZD USD. Now I was really hoping for this kind of 45-minute candle. All right, we didn't get that, which is kind of concerning to me. But it's, again, shaping up to kind of look exactly like, obviously, that AU and that AJ, right? So this could be an area of interest. I kind of prefer AU and AJ over NU, right? Because haven't really found anything that we necessarily reacted off of higher time frame here. So we could potentially make a new low first and then continue up, right? But we have some clean highs. We have some clean highs on NU, and I do expect a target to be this old high here. You can see that we've now created relatively equal highs. So 6,800 right now is my short-term target for NZD USD, right? And this could be a good play. This could be a good play here at 6,690 for a continuation up. All right, but you can see that they're all kind of looking the same, right? So it's not likely that every single one of them is going to play out to, the exact same, right? So we'll just have to kind of correlate time and price and catch some of these longs to the upside. USD JPY, this one's a little bit tricky. All right, we're in shorts from last week, but you can see we're kind of been stuck in a range here. All right, it's not the prettiest pair. Never really liked UJ, but we are in a downtrend. We are still in a downtrend. You can see we're making lower lows and lower highs, so we're continuing to trade with trend. It's just right now we're kind of in a range. Did you say something, Nate?
No, I didn't. Good.
Okay. Sorry, I thought I heard someone. But anyway, USD JPY, I do expect some more downside. We have some pretty clean equal lows that we're targeting, as well as a new low. There's nothing much to go over, nothing much in terms of a re-entry, in my opinion. It's just not the best looking. We're in it already, and so we're going to be looking to kind of continue to play that dollar weakness, right? Kind of attack these lows and potentially make a new low, because we do have relatively clean equal lows here on the daily time frame, really the weekly time frame, but they're very clean. I expect that to eventually be taken out. I believe it's around 101.50. All right, but daily time frame, you can see we're still respecting that daily 50 EMA. We are below the daily 50, kind of a double doji formation here, kind of a slowdown in momentum. So I'm liking what I'm seeing for more downside here on UJ. It's just a little too choppy, right? It's very annoying. But anyway, no potential entry on that at the moment. A couple more. GBP USD. All right, this one, we're still obviously higher time frame bullish. I don't know why I have all these lines, probably from videos that I made. Obviously still higher time frame bullish. I expect this old high to be the draw on liquidity, 1.3515. I expect that to be met. All right, and so what did we do Friday? Well, we came into old market structure. All right, you can see we more than likely generated some liquidity, people buying at old structure, right? Resistance turns support, right? And what happens is we get the fake out, right? We sweep the liquidity, people buying off of old market structure here. We sweep that liquidity, right? And potentially sell to buy here, right? If we get back above this structure, counter trend here, that will be great for potential pullbacks and continuations to the upside. That's all I'm looking for, is for price to get back above 1.331. We will essentially be confirmed for further upside on GBP USD, right? This one's looking really good. Again, we just need to break this level. You can see 3 hour, 2 hour, kind of same level, 1.331. Get back above that 1 hour 50, 4 hour 50. Obviously, we get back above it, get back above structure. 4 hour 50 EMA would then be supportive of price for the pullback and continuation. All right, so that's looking really, really pretty. And again, that higher time frame level 1.3515 will be higher time frame targets. Okay, couple more. Okay, USD CHF. This one was a pain last week. We caught a nice entry on it, just didn't get the continuation. We wanted to push higher. Oh well, we booked some partial profits. But obviously, we're still in a downtrend. We are still within a downtrend. All right, lower low, excuse me, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. All right, so we really need a firm break. We really need a firm break above this level. All right, and then we can pull back and go long. I do not expect that because we are still higher time frame bearish. We have equal lows as a target. Okay, and so I expect us to simply continue because that is not the bottom of a trend. It simply is not. We don't leave equal lows in reverse trend. All right, so that gives us more conviction to continue to look for selling opportunities. Right, and so 8 hour time frame, you can see we've kind of dipped into this candle here. Right, I'm not yet convinced. Not yet. I think we could potentially push up one more time, maybe take out the high in this wick, come further into this candle, right? But I do expect us to react from this level. All right, 0.9175 would be a very nice level. If we can pop up, take out the high within this wick, 9175 would be a nice level to look for shorts to take out these equal lows. All right, now we could just simply fall from here, in which case we look for the break of counter trend structure, the pullback and continuation. Simple stuff. All right, but again, we are looking for shorts. We are looking for shorting opportunities. All right, and that's why I kind of like these calls. It's not as much giving you exact levels to buy or sell, but giving you confidence behind a bias. Right? Are we looking to buy? Are we looking to sell? What are our higher time frame objectives? Right? Weekly, daily time frame objectives. All right, that gives us more conviction intraday, intra-week to look for or have a bias. Right? At least for USD Chef, CHF, we're looking still for selling opportunities. Okay, and so that's Swissy. Nothing much else to go over. Again, looking for a potential pop up, right time of day for the sell off to take out equal lows. All right, Euro JPY. I don't really have much. Obviously, we finally took out 126.8. How long have I been talking about this? Those of you who get on this call frequently, you know I've been talking about 126.8 for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, right? These levels we're calling out, right? They are very beneficial. Right? So take note of them. Like we've been calling this out, 126.8, since price was way down here, right? So that gives us more confidence and conviction behind looking for buying opportunities, right? Because we know we want to target something higher time frame, right? So I hope you use these kind of higher time frame objectives that we're giving you to your advantage. All right, so for now that we've taken it out, I'm not necessarily as interested in buying opportunities. Again, if we get the right opportunity, the right price action, by all means, continue to trade with the trend until it breaks, right? But this is our last point of return, higher low that created a higher high. If we do break that level, then we could see some further downside. It's a pretty good possibility. You can see that we created more equal highs here that you could classify this as a purge, right? And so if we see that break of structure, then we could look for shorting opportunities. But for now, because we're above 124, really 124.50, as long as price sustains above that level, we are still bullish and looking for buying opportunities on EJ, kind of still in alignment with Euro USD, okay? So what's the point in looking for shorting opportunities until price actually breaks structure, right? Shouldn't even have that in our mind until we actually get a break of structure, okay? So those are my pairs. Hopefully you've marked off some of these levels on your charts, some of the levels that we mentioned as higher time frame objectives, and that gives you confidence throughout the week in looking for your setups with the proper bias. All right, so I'll hand it over to Nate. I know he has a bunch of pairs he wants to go over. And so I appreciate your time, guys. Have a good one.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. So I have quite a bit of pairs on my list that I would like to go over with you guys. So save all your questions for the end. That would be great. I will get back to you guys once I'm finished. But just let me get through these first, because there are quite a bit of them. Maybe I'll end up answering some of your questions as I go. So I do have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16 pairs. So I'm going to go through them very, very quickly. A lot of them are actually looking very, very nice. So again, save all your questions to the end. And, you know, of course, we say this every week, everything is subject to change. Not saying that every single one of these pairs is going to work out. I'm saying that if we can see the movements that I am about to go over with you guys, then we will be prepared to take proper action in placing these trades. So I actually do have, I wouldn't say signals, but I do have a few pairs that have, you know, entries already in play right now, meaning that we just have to see them come down to the entry point and we can buy or sell it. So potential, you know, trade ideas for you guys right now. I don't really do that, but this week is looking really, really nice. And we do not trade Sundays. So if any of this occurs between now and Monday morning, then obviously I'm not going to place a trade. And we wait for Monday morning. Again, it is a bank holiday for the United States tomorrow. So low volume will be expected for USD, but there are other pairs that we can still be trading. So getting right into it, AUD JPY, if you guys can just stop marking on my screen, that would be nice. Thank you. AUD JPY, and I think Aiden went over this already, but I'm just going to touch base on it. We are still in an uptrend. It looks very similar to AU. And then what we did last week, filled in that daily imbalance, retested previous market structure, looking very, very bullish still. All right, just quickly going over this 4-hour time frame. We took out these equal lows with this wick in here, so we just scale in, see what we can find. And there's really no clear candle on any time frame, so I guess we can just be playing off of this 1-hour imbalance that broke structure right in here. All right, so we got back up, maybe looking to take a buy come to tomorrow. But if this happens to push down between now and tomorrow morning, then I don't trade it. It doesn't really matter what it does. I don't trade Asian session. I don't trade Sundays. I have to wait, and I'm very disciplined in this. I don't even look at the charts after I get off the webinar with you guys. There's no point. So looking for longs in this, just waiting for the correct time of day to be placed in these type of trades. So next one is going to be gold. Gold I really like. I was not anticipating price to come all the way back down into this sort of region. I was hoping that we'd react off of something in here, maybe to fill in balance in here, but we came a little bit lower. But on the higher time frame, we are still very bullish. We are very, very bullish. We are in this sort of corrective phase right now, kind of choppy, sort of ranging. But I expect price to continue to go long if we are to get back above most recent structure. All right, so if we can take out this high here, break it, get back above the 1-hour 50 EMA. Take the full, if we above that EMA as well, come down, retest, so pretty much break this, close above it, pull back, we can continue long. So we're going to be looking for that tomorrow morning. We are very, very bullish. We have not taken out this structure in here, because if we did, then we'd be going short. We are still maintaining higher highs and higher lows. Yes, we did not make a higher high from here, but we did not make a lower low. So we should still be looking to buy it if we can just get back above previous market structure in these EMAs as well. So that is gold. I'll quickly touch base on silver because it's looking the same. So we can see on the higher time frame, we are making higher highs and higher lows. Very, very bullish still. And like I said earlier, silver usually, and I wouldn't say all the time, but silver oftentimes makes its move before gold, which can be a good indicator to either be selling or buying gold, depending on what silver is doing. So we can see that silver is making higher highs, higher lows. All right, higher high, this is a higher low. We never took out the structure. Did be going short, but we're maintaining bullish structure. So we should still be looking for buys here. All right, going down to the lower time frame, we can see that we are looking like we are going to be clearing this structure. I mean, I think we already did, but I want to see more of a push up to the upside and then a pullback to then buy it. Because we are still being capped by the 1-hour 50 EMA, 4-hour 50 EMA as well, but we are into that LPOR, meaning last point of return, meaning if we take out the structure, we're going to be going short. But I don't anticipate that because gold and silver is extremely, extremely bullish. So further push to the upside, any sort of pullback will be looking good for entry. And you can see that we have almost taken out that structure already. So that could be an indication that gold is going to do the same. But that doesn't mean just to buy it at market open. All right, that's not what we do here. We don't let emotions get to us. You have to be patient, be disciplined, wait till Monday morning, London session, before looking for a trade. All right, but this is what I expect if we do get back up along, would be good. All right, next is CJ. So as I mentioned on our Friday, I think it was Friday morning webinar with the VIP members, I was talking about this level in here, because what we did was we were making higher highs, higher lows, right? This is a higher low compared to this. We swept the liquidity. You know, it's not as pretty as most of the other trades, but if you can just train your eyes to see the same things over and over again, you'll be good. Meaning watching the liquidity being taken in the opposite direction of trend, making a new higher high. I know this didn't make a higher high, but we have equal highs. So any pullback would be good for continuation to the upside, because we are still in a bullish trend and we have the draw on liquidity, meaning where is the market likely to take out? What liquidity is going to be taken out next, meaning right here. So that's what we're looking for. Daily time frame, we do have these relatively equal highs in here. I do think we can get back to this structure in here at 0.866, the last buying volume. If we are to short off, I think price has to come into here first. All right, so what I was mentioning with this zone in here, we can see clear resistance, resistance, support, support. We faked out, right, in trying to entice retail traders to sell, because we broke support. So many people were thinking, oh, selling, engulfing candle, we got to sell it. Hit the sell stops below the support level. What we did do, we came back up, retested this level. People started to sell off again. Nope, right back up. We still are in a bullish market. We should not be looking to sell this at all. All right, this is why retail traders lose all the time. So what do we do? We pushed up, made a higher high. So I'm thinking, okay, well, we got to retest this level, this demand level again before going long. And that's exactly what we did. That's exactly what I called out on Friday morning. And it also happened to line up with the 4-hour 50 EMA. Okay, spiked into that 4-hour 50. All the confluence is there for buy. You got in. That was, you're in significant profit. Equal lows. Okay, so what happens before price usually gets to a certain level is that it creates equal lows or equal highs. So if we're going to pull back and go long, usually we create equal lows because that's liquidity. So we take out that liquidity first, because if we're going to retest, might as well take some money in the process. We came back down, and we actually came a little bit lower and filled in this imbalance on the 30-minute right in here. All right, so what I'm looking for now is just continuations. Okay, so this was really the manipulative move on Friday. Okay, because we had to retest, so the market pushed down to retest, but not just that, we took the equal lows in the process. So what I'm thinking is that if we can get back down here, because we made a higher high compared to this higher high here. So higher high, higher low, higher high. So if we can pull back really to this 30-minute inefficiency around 81.088, we'll be looking to continue to buy it, because we have equal highs up here and equal highs way up here as well. All right, so that will be the pullback region I'll be looking for. It happens around the 1-hour 50 EMA and also the 4-hour 50 EMA as well. If we can just creep up here with the 4-hour 50 as we come down and retest, it'd be a good additional entry to look for buys. All right, so I'm going to be looking for that come tomorrow morning. I think Aiden touched base on EJ already. I'm just going to quickly go over what I see. We are still in a bullish market, in my opinion. I mean, we have equal lows that we need to take out. So I'm thinking just if we can take out these equal lows, make a higher high, get back above this supply or demand zone, retest it, we can continue to go long. We are in a bullish market. Just going to be waiting for something like that to happen. EG, Euro GBP, where's that? Right here. Perfect. Okay. So Euro GBP, we're in a downtrend. I mean, that's all I can say. What do we do? Well, higher time frame, we took out these equal highs in here, big time equal highs, with this huge push up, and we had a massive reaction from it. Okay, so we're just kind of trickling back up to kind of retest this last volume in here that was never mitigated. Now, I'm not saying that we just took a sell from this level. I mean, you don't want to have a few hundred pip stop loss. That was just my area of interest to be looking for sells. All right, so what do? We made one push, two push. We failed to make that third drive into the high. We failed to make a higher high. Then we made a lower low compared to the structure in here. So we are going short. We do have equal lows in here. We are below the daily 50. So this should roll over to the downside. The pound is very strong. Pushing this to the downside is is very valid, and a potential setup on this, actually, because we are maintaining bearish structure here, okay? Making lower lows, lower highs. So it's just following market structure, waiting for the liquidity to be drawn the opposite direction of trend, and then pulling back to mitigate, to continue with the overall trend that's what we do. So going to a lower time frame. All right, let me get rid of that. This was my zone of push down, kind of just messed around. We ended up taking these highs in here, and I think we filled an imbalance a little bit. Oh, just came just short of that. But anyways, what I'm looking for, really, this is just a counter trend push, right? So higher high, higher low, higher high, to just have an overall pullback in the market because we're making lower lows, lower highs, okay? So what I expect is if price can get back below this level here, we break counter trend structure, we pull back, maybe something in here to retest this level S supply, filling in some sort of imbalance right in here, okay? We can take a short trade all the way down. All right, now I will highlight this blue line that I have right up here. I think it happened to be, was it 15? Yeah, 15 minute. So I don't expect price to come up any higher than in here because we already mitigated this 15-minute buy to sell. So we don't have to put stops above this high. If we enter, okay, make a lower low, and we pull back to sort of the supply level, filling an imbalance in a higher time frame, we can just put our stops really right above kind of this wick in here, above these highs. Because I don't anticipate price to come any higher because we already mitigated. So there's no point for the banks to come back up and push price into these regions because they already happened last week. All right, so any sort of break of structure down here would be good for any sort of pullback sort of into this region, maybe around 0.8925 would be good. All right, so continuing GJ. All right, so we do have relatively equal lows. We are in a bullish market. However, this was I would guess you can say this was a key demand level that we reacted off of. I don't really teach supply and demand, but we did react off of this demand level in here, and we had a sort of reaction from that. So all I'm thinking is if we can get back above this high here, break counter trend structure, as you can see, we are making lower lows, lower highs. So if we can break that to the upside, pull back, that would be great for a continuation to the upside because higher time frame, we are still very, very bullish. I know on the higher time frames, we are bearish, making lower lows, lower highs. But I do think we can come a little higher. The pound is very, very strong. And what we did do on the higher time frame, on the weekly time frame, is we did take out these equal lows in here. Sell to buy. So I do think we can potentially have a run to the upside. A higher time frame, really deep retracement, meaning lower low, potential lower high, and then another lower low. So this is why it's so important to do higher time frame analysis because you can see the bigger picture here. All right, so we are above the weekly 50. Just continuations to the upside is what I'm expecting. So we did have that manipulative push that took out these lows on Friday. So let's just scale into this. So we are maintaining bullish structure. We see higher high, higher low, higher high. This is just a deeper pullback, higher low. It may happen to be on 2 hour. Yeah, this. So we break this structure in here, pull back, really fill in imbalance, really retest or mitigate this last sell that took the liquidity in here to buy, then we'll be looking good. 140.76. So that's what I'll be looking for if we get back above the structure. Now, if the market opens and we just kind of continue to the downside, then this setup's invalid. But what I'm saying is that if we can push up and break this structure, pull back at the right time of day, then we'll be ready to take a trade, no hesitation, for a continuation to the upside. So that's what I'll be looking for. Aiden already touched base on GU, kind of looking the same. GU is actually looking really, really nice. Euro NZD. So with the Euro NZD, it's kind of tough. Oops. That we do have relatively equal highs. We are still in a major uptrend, as you can see. Higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. We are looking to continue to the upside. What we did in here, you can see that this last volume before the major was already mitigated with this push here. So we kind of retested this as support, continuing with the upside move. So we can see that we're creating in a counter trend, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, relatively lower low, and made a higher high from there, kind of making equal highs. So any sort of pullback to go long would be great. So doing higher time frame analysis, this is the daily time frame. We can see that, okay, we broke structure in here. We made a higher high, so we broke the counter trend. So any sort of pullback to continue to the upside would be good. So I noticed that we created a zone in here, support, resistance, never retested as support. So I drew this up, was thinking, okay, we can get back down into here, pull back, higher time frame, we can be looking to take a higher time frame move. So scaling into this even more, one of two things I expect. Well, we came into this last selling volume in here before the big buy up with this retest. So either one of two things, either we get back above the 4-hour 50, get back above this level. You can see these the support, turn resistance. If we can break that, get back above the 4-hour 50, retest it as support again, retest the 4-hour 50 EMA, we look to buy it. Or if the market just continues to the downside to start the week, I'll be looking to take a buy opportunity in here. Okay, we can see that this last sell candle took out liquidity in here. We kind of filled an imbalance relatively in here, all right, before this big move. So I do think that we can mitigate this candle if we can if we can push down, then that will be my level of interest. The fill in imbalance in here, mitigate this last sell candle, all right. So that's what I'll be expecting. Either we break structure first, retest, go long, or we push back down into here, and I'll look to take a buy opportunity entry for a long if we can have it at the right time of day, because the proper time of day to enter trades is very, very important. All right, so that's what I see on Euro NZD overall longs is what I'm expecting. Next one is USD CAD right in here. All right, so USD CAD it's very clean. We are in a massive downtrend, counter trend. Yes, we are in a massive uptrend, higher time frame, we can see, but we are, the CAD is very, very, very strong, both fundamentally and technically, like I've been saying for the past few weeks. I do think now that since we didn't have that clean reaction right here, we never had a really clean reaction. We kind of, I just zoom into this, pushed down, just kind of messed around, and then we kind of engulfed on Friday. So I do think continuations of the downside is what we're going to see. We're probably going to see all this liquidity run at some point. All right, so my bias has now shifted to a more bearish bias. We are very, very, very strong to the downside. I think continuations to the downside is expected because the US dollar is still very bearish and the CAD is still very, so continuations is what I'm expecting. I was expecting further upside because we were in a massive uptrend. All right, but you have to be able to adapt to the market and not be married to one bias. All right, so if something shows something different, like right in here, the momentum is way to the downside. I do think that we're starting to create some sort of equal low in here. I do think the market makers are going to take out the liquidity that's resting below this low here. So further downside is expected. So we can see that the cleared trend. I mean, I don't trade trend lines, but I show them to you guys for structure purposes, so it's clear and it paints a really nice picture. You can see a clear downtrend here, lower time frame. The counter trend was broken. You can see higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. We failed to make that higher high. We broke structure. You can see that resistance turned support. Now we want to turn it resistance. 1-hour 50 EMA right into here. If we get back up, really just back into this price, 309, I'll be looking to sell it. It looks very, very clean to me because we can see that we're making lower lows, lower highs overall, but this up move or this counter trend was finally broken to the downside, retest into the zone. It's not really a smart money entry. It's more of a market structure based type of entry, but it is still very, very clean to me. And we have relatively equal lows in here as well. All right, so that's what I'll be expecting. Again, it has to be between the hours of 3 a.m. and 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We can see that we have a little bit of imbalance right in here between that wick and this wick. So right into that zone, very, very nice. So if we can push down just maybe a little bit more, maybe get like a proper, well, not really proper entry, more of like a fib-based entry. So we can push down a little bit, pull back maybe 61.8, just depending on where we stop. But still, this is my area of interest to be looking for sells. Stop losses are, I'll have to scale into these wicks, but they'll probably be above these wicks. So really, really clean. I'm liking this a lot. Next is GBP/AUD. All right, so GBP/AUD, look at the higher time frame. We have relatively equal highs. This is very, very bullish. Okay, on the higher time frame, let's just see here. We were in a massive counter trend. I mean, this isn't in a massive uptrend, but what we had was a higher high, a higher low on the daily time frame. We did not close below this level, so we are still bullish. what do? We broke counter trend structure. You can see we're kind of accumulating price. We finally broke previous structure in here, closed above it. So any pullback to go long would be good. So what can I see? Obviously, we have those equal highs that will be taken out. We had relatively equal lows that were kind of taken out with these series of candles. Now we're starting to push back up again. 4-hour 50, we're getting back above that. GBP is very strong, continuing with our longs as expected. We made a higher high, a higher low, a higher high again, a higher low. So what can we do? We had this previous zone in here, resistance, turn support, we broke, okay, enticing sellers into the market, kind of retested, started to short off again, enticed sellers even more. So if I just scale into this like 30-minute, I believe, really, if we can just break counter trend, right? If we can break this counter trend in here, really get back above this level, we can see previous support, resistance. If we make it support again, so if we just push back up, either retest this level or this level in here, will be good for buys, okay? Because what are we doing? We're making higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. Now, if we break the counter trend, we'll be counter trend bullish. We're not gonna come below this region of price anymore. So if we pull back, any sort of pullback, I'm thinking probably this demand zone in here, take a long trade all the way back up. There's one drive to the upside, pull back, 2 drives to the upside, pull back, looking for that 3rd drive to the high. Market loves to move in waves of 3, so I really like this for further continuation. So that's GBP AUD. Next one, GBP CAD. GBP CAD, not very, very clean. But what did we do? Actually, I'll just go more of a top down here. So it looks sort of like Euro NZD. We can kind of see that we have that inverse head and shoulders, left shoulder, head, right shoulder in here being supported by the daily 50 EMA. We retested this demand level, previous support, turn resistance, turn back support. Okay, so further upside is expected. So when we came back down into here, we looked for that counter trend break, which we saw in the 4-hour time frame. You can see this pullback in here. We're creating lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. We made a higher high. This was our previous market structure right in here that we needed to break. We broke that. Any sort of pullback, because we're now counter trend bullish, so we should not expect price to come below this level anymore, which was expected anyways because we retested higher time frame demand. All right, so any sort of pullback to continue side is expected. Now, I did mention that we had this zone in here, okay, support, resistance, 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 support. I was really thinking that since we broke this structure, any sort of pullback into this level to continue long would be nice. But we can see that market is looking like we are creating a higher time frame pullback. So really just back into here, it's only the 50%, but we ended up pulling back to sort of the 71, 78 level, which is what we like to see anyways. And I did note that we had relatively equal lows in here. So that's why if I was going to take a long trade, it would be on like a half risk. But anyways, we saw that if we did buy, you were in quite a bit of profit, but ended up taking you out break even if you did get into this, having that overall pullback into the market. All right, so the daily 50 is resting like I think somewhere in here. I know this is the 4-hour time frame, but the daily 50 is right here, so we are being supported by that. We did sweep the lows on Friday. You can clearly see that with the line I have right there. Did sweep the lows with that wick. So if we can just break the counter trend in here above this structure, retest this zone again, continuations to the upside. All right, because this is more really just a break, a pullback continuation. So I'm looking for further upside on this pair. We'll see what we can get though, because the CAD is still strong, but the pound I think will overpower the CAD here. Next, GBP NZD. GBP NZD. So there's nothing really clear on this. We're kind of in this sort of pullback downtrend. We are still very bullish. Higher time frame, we can see higher high, higher low. Looking for that higher high again. We're looking for continuations. Now, on the daily time frame, we did come into that daily 50 EMA, and we did react quite nicely off that. So once the higher time frame level was met, we look to scale into the lower time frames to see if we can see some sort of break of structure. All right, so what I think is that if we can get above this level in here, break, pull back into this level of this demand, we can continue to the upside. Why am I now? Well, because of the fact that, well, one, we came into this sort of last sell candle that took liquidity in here for the big buyout. We kind of mitigated that, maybe came a little bit lower, so like 50% of that. But the daily 50 is resting right in here. Okay, so now what we have to look for is potential buy opportunities now. Yes, we still are in this counter trend bearish move, but because we came into that higher time frame level, meaning not necessarily just this candle, but the fact that the daily 50, the 50 EMA, it's very, very good for confluence or entering into a trade. I'm not saying that the daily 50 is right, and here we tap the daily 50. It doesn't mean just buy it. Use it as confluence for entering into a trade that you already have set up, meaning that the daily 50 is in here. If we get that break of structure, counter trend, right? Counter trend, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, 1 drive, 2 drive, 3, A and B and C, maybe above this pull back into that level, this demand level would be good, because not only did we break counter trend, but we are being supported by the daily 50. If we get that break of structure, that will just confirm that we are going to go long again, and the daily 50 will hold and will continue to ride this up. So going into lower time frames, what can we see? Let's get rid of this. We can see previous support, turn resistance, turn support, turn resistance. So this is a clear level that prices reacted from in the past, really around 1.978-ish, anywhere around there. So really just a break of structure, pull back into that level again, retest the 1 hour 50, see what the 4 hour 50 is. Yeah, 4 hour 50 is in here, so we get back above that, maybe retest that as well, continuations of the upside. So that's what I'm expecting on GBP NZD. We can see that the overall theme is GBP longs. Okay, we are setting up GBP USD, GBP AUD, GBP CAD, GN, and GBP long. So that is going to be the theme of the week, most likely. All right, just a few others. We are going to be eliminating some of these pairs because it is quite hectic. It's kind of hard to keep up with everything. We understand that you guys trade different pairs. Some of you guys just trade the majors. Some of you guys trade like USD ZAR or Euro Chef or something like that. So starting next week, or really starting this week, we're going to send you guys a list of the pairs that we're going to start looking at just on the calls. So if you have any questions about any other pairs that we don't go over, just private message us. We're not going to go over them on the calls. It would just take too much time. We want to minimize our pairs so we can focus more in on them. And yeah, so I think that's going to be quite helpful so we don't miss many trades, because when you're trading all of these pairs, we kind of have to, because you guys see all these pairs, so we have to be able to answer your questions. But trading a lot of these pairs, we miss setups because we can't be on the charts all the time. So that's what we're going to start doing. So USD ZAR is going to be the next one. All right, so last week we did take an entry on USD ZAR, I believe. I don't know what time frame it was. Let's see. Somewhere in here, I think it was just sort of like a retest of maybe this last buy to sell candle. Somewhere in here, I don't know. But we did take a long trade. It ended up hitting us out break even. The market's just chopped a little bit more, but we finally had that follow through to the downside, created more equal lows. So what I am expecting, and I'll just do a little top down here, we are still in a bullish market, but I can see further downside because we have equal lows in here. We are being supported by the daily 50 to the downside, and we had an engulfing candle on Friday. So the momentum to the downside is quite strong. 4 hour time frame, 4 hour 50 EMA being capped again. So any pullback sort of into this wick, we go for continued shorts. Let's just see. 1 hour time frame, what did we do? Well, this candle in here, when we pushed up, we filled in that 1 hour imbalance, taking these equal highs in here. So we should really not come above really much a price in here. All right. So really what I would like to see is some sort of pullback to fill in balance in here. Really this last buy to sell candle around 16.723. So there you go, guys. That is your signal for you. All your free members out there. I don't really send signals to you guys. That's really for VIP, but I'm going to be looking to short it from that price. Again, be disciplined in your trading. If this comes up before London session on Monday, don't trade it. Please be smart, because you're just gambling at that point. Only trade it the right time of day. All right. Because if it somehow doesn't come up into here, or if it does come up into here the wrong time of day, there's so many other pairs you can be trading. Just don't be married to the sort of sell. But I am liking this a lot for further downside because we do have equal lows. R50 coming into play here as well. So right time of day, we can look to short it. If not, move on. We don't need to have emotion in this market. That's what kills you, I promise. Euro Chef. Okay, so I'm going to go through this sort of from a top-down standpoint. This may take a little bit of time because this actually took me like 30 minutes yesterday going through this, because I was just looking at literally everything that was going on. And I really, really like this. So daily time frame. Actually, I'll even go to the weekly. All right, guys. So if you want, for all you people who don't really know how to do a top-down analysis on a pair, I'm going to do one for you right here. Okay, so this is how you properly do top-down analysis. So you always start off with the monthly, but the month closed 6 days ago, something like that. So I always look for the monthly candles upon their closure weekly. So we'll start with the weekly here. We can see on the weekly time frame that, well, let's just do a higher time frame. We are very, very bearish on the higher time frame. You can just see the kind of the whack price action in here. It's not very clean. But what I'm thinking is the fact that we came into this sort of imbalance right in here. I'll just zoom into this. Around 1.051, you can see that this imbalance in here was finally met right in here. All right, we are above the weekly 50 EMA now, as you can see. I do expect this to continue to the upside. Even if it's not long term, the short term is looking quite nice for a continuation to the upside, just for maybe a few hundred pips. If it is to short off, I still think we can get some sort of push to the upside, really to take all this liquidity in here. All right, so now that's the higher time frame. We filled that imbalance. Yes, we are counter trend bearish, but because we can still take lower counter trend plays as long as they have the proper setup. All right, and I'll show you what I mean here in a little bit. Daily time frame, scaling in. Actually, let me just go to the 4 hour really quick, and I'll show you what was going on in here. So we broke structure counter trend. We can see that we were making lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, and we made a higher high. Pulled back, retested 4 hour 50, continued to the upside. We had this imbalance right in here between this wick and sort of this wick in here that has not been filled. So I was thinking, okay, well, if we can pull back, I was really hoping we do it in here, pull back into that imbalance to buy it up again. We just continued. We finally came back down and we filled that imbalance really to the T right in here, and we continued to the upside. So we made a higher high. We broke the counter trend in here. All right, made a higher high, pulled back. Didn't have a big pullback, but that was probably because of the 4 hour 50 in here. Anyways, continuation to the upside. So what do we do? Higher high, higher low, looking for an, and we're making that shortly. I do think we're going to be taking all this liquidity in here now. So even if we already go short, I do think we can see some further upside because all the EMAs are in our favor now. Daily 50 EMA, we are above, weekly 50, 4 hour 50, all that. So even if we already go short, higher time frame, I do think we can get a quick lower time frame play to the upside. So, well, let's just continue to analyze what's going on in here. I know it's very choppy, but just waiting for the right, I guess, proper time to strike is going to be important. Didn't trade really at all in here. Just whack, just wasn't making lower lows or higher highs. So you really can't trade it. Anyways, we noticed that we created equal lows in here. We swept those equal lows, made a higher high from there. Equal lows in here, we finally swept them with really this move. Actually, really these moves in here, took out these equal lows, created more equal lows, swept them again, and then we made a higher high. So now we shouldn't come below this region of pricing. So all this is done and dusted. We're looking to continue to buy because we made a higher high. All this doesn't matter anymore. We finally waited for that liquidity run, taking out these equal lows and we already took them out here, but you can see we did it again. Made a higher high from there. That's really what matters. Pulling back, now this is where we have to scale in. Not necessarily taking a trade down in here off of something. I mean, you can. You would have a bigger stop loss. But really waiting for that counter trend to be broken. So I think it was, let's just see. Maybe it was the 1 hour. So this is what happens when you go through all these pairs. You sometimes forget what you marked up. Oh, shit. Well, we can see that we filled imbalance in here from this wick, came down, filled that imbalance, made a higher high from there. Really just pulling back. Really wasn't much to play off of in here. I did think that we filled some, yeah. There was some sort of candle within this wick. We came down and mitigated, and then we went long from there. We are above all EMAs. So really, I think this is the end of the pullback now. So higher high, higher low. Okay, so following every time frame's market structure is going to be crucial in getting your precise entries. So 1 hour time frame, I think is the 4 hour in here. Yeah, so okay. we reacted off of a candle of interest in here that was actually really pretty. I'm not going to go through this. I'm not going to find it. It would take too long. But it was in this wick. It was a beautiful sell to buy candle that filled in balance somewhere or over here on the lower time frame. Again, I'm not going to go into that. But we finally mitigated and we got back above the 4-hour 50. So we are now bullish again on the lower time frames. And I think this line in here is because of this last sell candle that took liquidity. I think we came back down. And that's what we mitigated. Okay, cool. So what I'm looking for really is just a pullback into this, I guess, this 4-hour imbalance to continue to go long. Okay, because this is the end of the pullback, in my opinion. We're going to the upside. So maybe 1 drive, 2 drive, 3 drive, something like that to make a higher high, higher high, higher low, higher high, something like that. Okay, because we confirmed it on all these time frames. Because of the fact that we took the low in here, made a higher high, we're not going to come below this level. The fact that we took these equal lows and these equal lows in here, and we made a higher high, we're not going to come below this level. Okay, so that's what happened. We mitigated something in this wick here, higher high, higher low, shouldn't come below that level anymore. So any pullback, we can take a higher time frame target way up into there. Okay, so I guess really just 1.07987. I think that was the high of that wick in there. So the complete imbalance fill is what we're going to be looking for. So really just some sort of pullback into that level. 4-hour 50 EMA creeping up, good confluence. We may push up a little bit higher to start the week, just maybe trickle up, and then we'll finally have that pullback. Something like at that region of price, having, I believe, a 19 pip stop loss targeting. So this is where we can place our higher time frame targets, pull it from the low to the high. -27 lines up with that 1.092 psychological level. And I think on the higher time frame, well, we're taking, yeah, that's exactly what it was. Taking this high in here, coming really into these buys in here. So not very pretty in terms of targets, but we got to find something in terms of targets. So round number, -27, that's good to go for me. We can see that we created on the higher time frame a 3-pin pattern daily 3-pin, meaning 1 pin, 2 pin, 3 pin, slow down in momentum, sort of a doji candle, engulfing back to the upside. So really any pullback, sort of pulling back into that daily imbalance as well, happen to be the daily imbalance and the 4-hour imbalance. We are above the daily 50, so continuation to the upside is expected. This will be your entry, about 1.07, or about 1.08 will be fine as well. 19 pip stop again has to happen the right time of day. If it does, great, we'll take this trade. If not, then we will look for some sort of re-entry at the correct time of day. So hopefully you learned something in terms of the higher time frame analysis, what I look for. Really just scaling into the lower time frames with the higher time frame, I guess, trend is what you want to be looking for. Higher time frame trend, scaling into lower time frames for your precise entry. So that's what I'll be looking for on Euro Chef, continuations to the upside. All right, just a few more, I think 2 more, then I'll take questions. Sorry, this has been quite crazy. So AUD CAD, I do expect further upside. I mean, the Aussie is quite strong. We are being supported by the daily 50 EMA. Okay, we had this overall pullback on the lower time frame. You can see that we had 1 drive, 3 drive. We broke structure in here. So any sort of pullback to go along would be good. We can see that we created this zone, resistance, resistance, support, 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 resistance, support. So this is a key area where price has reacted from in the past, right? So I was hoping that we'd get back down into something, within this candle. And I think we took a long trade somewhere in here. We ended up pushing down a little bit more. I think we got out at a little bit of a loss. So we really had this overall pullback. So really retesting this demand level, again, faking people out with this sort of move. And I think it happened in the lower time frame. Yep. So faking people out with this move, enticing sellers, taking this liquidity in here with this move. All right, we took that liquidity. So now all I want to see is just some sort of push up from here, retesting this as demand again, really breaking this sort of counter trend in here. If we can just break the counter trend, guys, get back above either this level here or this level here, pulling back, we can continue long. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. If it just continues down, then oh well. But I expect it to go long because we're in a higher time frame bullish trend. You can say that this is a leg, this is a pullback, this is a potential new leg to the upside. The fact that we broke counter trend in here, broke the most recent swing point to the upside. Any pullback, we are now counter trend bullish. Just going based off of market structure, any pullback to continue long would be fine. Daily time frame, we're being supported by the daily 50. We kind of came into that on Friday almost. We can see on the 4-hour time frame, the 4-hour 50 is resting right here. So let's mark that off right there. So scaling in again, we really just get back above, the 1-hour 50 in the daily 50, which is right in here, kind of break counter trend structure, pull back into that demand that was faked out earlier on Friday. Okay, so enticing sellers, hitting sell stops, whatever, take liquidity, making continuations of the upside as expected. So I like this. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. If it just continues down, oh well, we move on. If it does, we're ready to strike. Any sort of pullback will be good to continuation for the longs, because the drawn liquidity will be here, equal highs. I think the market makers are going to target that next. All right, one more. AUD Chef. Oh, let's see. Okay, so let's go higher time frame. If you can hear that background noise, I apologize. So on the daily time frame, we are being supported by the daily 50. Aussie again is very strong. We're looking to buy AU, AJ, HF, ACAT, everything. So continuations of the upside is what I would like to see. So what did we do on Friday? Well, we had this sort of level here, previous resistance, now turned support. We made a higher high. Okay, so we didn't make a higher high in comparison to this, but we can see that we made a higher high from this. So pushed up, failed to make a lower low, made a higher high, broke this structure. Any pullback to go long would be good. Where is my area of interest? Well, it was right in here, because not only do we have the zone, previous resistance, now support, but we filled in the daily imbalance as well right in here. Daily 50 being supported, sort of this bullish engulfing candle I expect further upside. Scaling in, 4-hour time frame, you can clearly see it. All right, higher high, higher low. I don't know if we're going to have another push to the downside to start. I don't think so, just because we already reacted off of this level, and we are looking like we're going to react off this 4-hour 50 as well for a continuation to the upside. So scaling in, lower time frames, 1-hour time frame. Let's see. Reacted off that level, higher high, higher low, higher high again, pulling back to sort of this 1-hour imbalance around 0.66342. It's in and around the 4-hour 50 here. So further upside is expected. I think this is the end of the pullback. I don't know yet, because we're still technically counter trend bearish, lower low, lower high, lower low. This could just be a lower high for a lower low, maybe fake people out of this sort of demand level and then finally go long, break the structure and pull back. And that could happen, but my current area of interest is right in here, because of this, this 1-hour 50, this 1-hour imbalance. We just pull a fib here to here, sort of in and around the 50, 60, 8% fib. Just scale in to see if we can find anything else. Yeah, not much. So, that's my area of interest, 66342, looking for buys. Again, has to be the right time of day. If not, then we don't trade it. So I know that was a lot. Thank you guys for listening. And now I'll take some questions. That is all I have in terms of trade setups and analysis for you guys this week. It will be updated throughout the week with anything we see. Again, nothing. Please don't trade it until Monday morning. Anything, because Sunday trading is disastrous. It can be at that time. So I know that was a lot, and I'll take some questions. If you guys are good to go, thank you so much. Hope you learned a lot. And yeah, any questions right now will be good. Anything at all? Yeah, I went over gold already. I'll do it really quick. But this is always recorded, guys. So just go back and watch the recording. Gold, very quickly, still in a bullish market, kind of ranging at the moment. Not really making higher highs or higher lows, but I expect further upside. I do think gold can go to like 3,000 long term. But where's the most recent structure? Most recent structure is down in here. We did not break and close below that, so we're technically still bullish. We started to accumulate in price, slowing down in momentum. Okay, so if we can just get back above really this 1-hour 50 EMA, break of structure, counter trend. We can see the counter trends in here. We break the counter trend, pull back, we can go long. This is the end of the higher time frame pullback. We won't come below that level. We'll look to continue with our longs for a higher time frame move. So gold upside, that's what I like. Anything else? Any other questions, comments? I appreciate all the positive feedback on the course, guys. Thank you so much. Now we put a lot of time into it. Glad you guys like it. Heard it's been very, very helpful for a lot of people. Does a sponsor candle mean an engulfing candle? No, guys. So just because you see an engulfing candle does not mean it's a sponsor candle, because I can do this. I can sort of have, price action, engulfing candle. This does not mean that this is going to be a sell to buy. Just because you see engulfings doesn't mean anything. Sponsor candles, let's think about it. What is the real objective of the market makers? I say this time and time again. What is their objective? Is to take liquidity. We didn't take liquidity in here. Just because it's an engulfing candle doesn't mean jack shit. Okay, because what the market makers will do, they'll think, oh, okay, it's an engulfing candle, I'm going to buy it. Nope, sweep the liquidity, then we go long. So it has to sweep liquidity first. Equal low or equal high in the opposite direction of trend, if we clearly sweep some sort of liquidity, meaning retail trader stop losses, all these stop losses here, if we sweep them and we move to the upside, if we're in a bullish market, then we can come back and mitigate some sort of sponsor candle to continue. But just because you see an engulfing candle doesn't mean it's a sponsor candle at all. It's a good question, because I know that's a lot of people get confused about that. Yeah, exactly. After taking liquidity, that's what you like to see. Okay, so for instance, let's just say that we create more equal lows here, for instance, right? If you see that sell to buy and you engulf, that's a good sign that we're going to, I would hope that price would pull back to mitigate, but that's a good sign that this is institutionally based. Because what the market makers do is that they engineer liquidity, they take that liquidity. After they take liquidity, they don't really care about, I wouldn't say, they don't care about selling anymore, but they want to get the hell out of there. They want to move price now. They took liquidity. They don't want to give any retail traders the opportunity to get back to the market. So what they do is they sell, and that's when you like to see that engulfing candle. It doesn't really have to be an engulfing candle. It just has to move in the correct direction, breaking counter trend. But yeah, that's what you like to see. That's the best sort of sponsor candle move. Institutionally based candles, sell to buy, taking liquidity, engulfing, getting out of there, then pulling back to mitigate, to get out of their sells, because they had to pump price down to take liquidity. So they're in sells, they're in drawdown on their buys now, or in drawdown on their sells because they bought back up. Now they have to get out, break even on their sells, continue with their buys, and make some profit. So exactly, that's correct. Oil, I'll check out oil. So yeah, oil, look on the higher time frame. Oil is really hoping we get back into 44 because that happened to be really the last buying volume in here, filling in balance. We didn't do that. That's okay. We're being capped by the weekly 50. So fundamentally, the CAD is strong. Technically, it's still strong as well, but we may start to see a little bit more of a shift because oil is starting to fall, which means CAD could potentially start to weaken a little bit. So that could be good for GBP CAD long setup I had shown you guys. So 4-hour time frame, let's just kind of scale into this. Where's our structure? This is not structure, guys. This is not structure. This is structure. Think about it. Higher time frame, right? Higher high, higher low. This is just one leg to the upside. Higher high, right? These mini structure in here, I don't care if we break that. If we break that, we can still continue long because this is just a higher high. This could just be an overall pullback, higher low for another high. This is why higher time frame analysis is so crucial. We finally closed below this level. We are now bearish. And we've closed below the higher time frames. I don't care about anything in here. It doesn't matter. We closed below the higher time frame. Now this structure has finally shifted to the downside. Any pullback to continuation for continuation to the downside is expected, in my opinion. Now, where's potential entry? I don't trade oil. I don't like it. But it's good confluence for, CAD-based pairs. So maybe something in here. I know just because, look, that's what I said earlier, just because you see a big buy candle and a big sell candle doesn't mean that that's a sponsor candle. And it really isn't a sponsor candle because it never really took any liquidity. In all reality, it really didn't. So just because you see this big buy candle and a big sell-off doesn't mean that this is a sponsor candle. So this, I'm just going to say it's not. But the fact that we broke structure, the fact that we have this sort of retest of previous market structure in here, you can see that we had support, kind of turn resistance. The 4-hour 50 is right in here as well. The momentum is very, very strong to the downside, so we're not likely to see a big, deep pullback. So in this case, around 41, this could be a level of interest, this candle in here. Normally, it wouldn't be because it's not a sponsor candle, but because we have confluence surrounding this sort of level, because we retested this support as resistance, we are falling strongly, broke higher time frame structure. 4-hour 50 is right in here as well. So I would not expect price to really come above that 4-hour 50. So by the time maybe this pulls back, 4-hour 50 will be maybe somewhere in here. This would be the area of interest, really to fill in balance, maybe mitigate this candle. So in this case, this would be the area of interest to be selling. Around 41.00. That's what I got. Yeah, no problem, no problem. We can start to see that the markets have been, they're starting to show some clarity now, which is what I'd like to see. We're getting into September time. Fall is approaching. Really the first 2 weeks of September are kind of like the last 2 weeks of August. So we're sort of nearing the end, hopefully, of this sort of whack price action. So just because you may see stuff that doesn't look pretty doesn't mean that you're missing out. Doesn't mean that you're a bad trader. Doesn't mean anything like that. It just means that the markets aren't presenting itself. We can start to see the clarity now. Okay, all it is really following market structure and then using smart money as confluence for precision-based entries. Okay, so let's just say that we're in an uptrend, right? If we understand higher time frame, we're in an uptrend, right? We can be looking for liquidity to be taken at the opposite direction of trend, meaning short side, breaking counter trend structure, pulling back to mitigate to continue with the higher time frame trend. That's all we're doing. Okay, taking liquidity opposite direction, understanding that the higher time frame is bullish. Okay, breaking counter trend structure. So now we're not going to come below this level. Mitigate price, mitigate their sells, continuation with the higher time frame. That's really all it is, guys. If it looks pretty, I'm telling you, it's not too good to be true. Institutionally based trading is supposed to be pretty. Retail patterns and retail based trading, if it looks pretty, that definitely is too good to be true because they're trying to manipulate you. They're trying to set you up to get you on the wrong side of the market. Do you trade NASDAQ US30? If I'm going to look at something, it's going to be US30. I don't really trade it that often. I really don't care for it. Some people love it. I can see potential further downside on this to see some sort of relief. However, we are very bullish still. So this huge push could have just been a higher time frame pullback for continuation, really to mitigate this last sell candle that swept liquidity in here for the big buy up. But if we're looking on the lower time frame, if we are to trade this short whatsoever, we can see that we made a counter trend move. We broke the counter trend, making a lower low. We pulled back into this sort of 1 hour 50 EMA. We're being capped by that, retesting this zone of interest, really retesting these last buy orders before the sell-off. There's no current setup on this at the moment. It can kind of go either way, really, because, yeah, technically the momentum is to the downside, but we're still very, very bullish. And I do think that we're going to come take out these highs. So any selling orders that were in here after COVID came into being will be totally taken out by this huge rally to the upside. I mean, think about it, guys. The 08 crash, the real estate crash, next year, we totally rebounded just like this. Whenever you see a market crash, you should jump for joy because one, you can get in at discounted regions of price, be buying back up again. I know many people who took advantage of this and who are extremely wealthy because of it. Crashes are for the rich because they can get back into the market at discounts. Many people, they get scared. They pull their money out back into cash. That's literally the dumbest thing you can do. If I'm talking to anyone who said that, I would literally walk away. You are retarded. Excuse me. I'm just saying. I mean, people, they're just not financially literate, and that's what kills them. Figuratively, literally. There's really no clear setup at the moment because we're still very, very bullish, but we kind of see that momentum is to the downside right now. I'm just going to see what we can find start of the week, but nothing clear to me right now. Any other questions whatsoever? Dollar. Well, midterm bearish until 88. Well, it's kind of tough because we're not really making higher highs or lower lows. We're kind of just stuck in this range. What the dollar is going to do is really going to be dependent on the Fed at this point. Interest rates are at all-time lows, really. So further downside on the dollar is expected. So I think we're going to have a clear direction for the dollar come next year. We're going to have a clear direction for 2021 after the election, because that is really the policy that the Fed is going to really determine, or how the economy is going to react to either the election or something is going to happen. I guarantee you before the next president will be elected, because I mean, what surrounds elections? Corruptness. I mean, whatever the word for that is. I mean, you can see every single type of virus that came out happened to be during election year. Something catastrophic is going to happen between now and in the next few months. So we'll find the direction for the dollar for 2021, but we'll have to wait and see for the aftermath of everything that's going to happen between now and November time. So we're very, very bearish. I know someone said, oh, you came into an imbalance on the dollar. Yeah, you did. But hey, I'm not saying we can't go long. I'm just saying, hey, we're still bearish. We haven't balanced down here too. We have a zone in here as well. Previous market structure. I think we can come shorter. We may see an overall pullback, but we're definitely very, very, very bearish overall. So maybe a retest sort of back up into here, fill up and balance in here, maybe retest weekly 50 and then continue to the downside. But on the lower time frame, we're starting to accumulate. Could the dollar go long? Yeah, it could. Some sort of potential Wyckoff. I really don't know Wyckoff that well. Maybe selling climax, secondary test, maybe get this spring, if we get back above this level, then sort of this LPS continue on. But for now, dollars is still bearish. I'll be trading this short until we break this structure. Once we break that structure, we'll be bullish again. Not long-term bullish, just short-term bullish. We'll have an overall pullback for a continuation of the downside. All right, I went over gold twice. Just catch it on the. Any other questions, guys, before I hop off? Appreciate your time. Thank you so much. USD Mexican. All right, last one, guys. Last one. I don't really trade it. I'm not going to be much help to you guys when I haven't been looking at these pairs. So just base it off of your own analysis, really. USD Mexican, okay. Oh goodness. I mean, you're still bearish. I mean, just find a sell entry, really. I mean, you have these lows that are going to be hit. You're going to take out these lows, so really any push. I mean, the opportunity to sell this would be good. I mean, there's no clear area of interest for me. I mean, we're very good. I mean, if you can just find some sort of liquidity that's run to the upside, then look to sell it off. I mean, that's all I can tell you. I mean, there's really nothing to play off of. we're just in the steep downtrend. So any sell opportunity you can find, use that as an excuse to sell it off. We are below the 1 hour 50. We are below the 4 hour 50. We are below the daily 50. So continued sells what I'm expecting. I haven't really looked at that pair in a while. Yeah. All right, guys, appreciate your time. I'll send the recording out to the VIP group as soon as it's finished processing. But other than that, have a great rest of your morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much for hopping on. We will talk to you guys London session tomorrow morning. Peace out, guys. Thank you.